Hello guys and welcome to another video. Today we're setting up the spreads for the books I read in May. It's a little bit late, but I didn't have time to film in the last 2 weeks. So I read 3 books in May, 2 5 stars and 1 4 star. A very good month to read. I tried to read books from my Maybe Next, and I read 2 of them, Butcher and Blackbird, which is a 5 star, and Neon Gods, there is 4.5 stars. Since I only read 1 book in April, I kind of compensate for that in May, and now I can color 3 more books in my bookshelf. One more letter completed from the alphabet challenge, the N for Neon Gods, of course. For these 2 challenges, I made very good progress. For Read the Rainbow, I put Stolen here in the light blue. I guess the cover of this book isn't completely light blue, but the main part is. And this is my reading journal, so I make my own rules. Also, Neon Gods goes into the purple. The cover has purple and dark blue, but I think overall it's a little more purple. So that's it. For the bingo, I filled in 3 spaces, 1 for each book. Include song lyrics is for Butcher and Blackbird. Fairy tale retelling is actually for Neon Gods and Stolen Hair. And the last one, character with red hair, is for Stolen Hair as well. Not the main characters, but the sister of one of them. And I could have checked this one out when I read Brutal Prince, because this character make an appearance as well, but I didn't remember this detail until now. I added 2 more series in this tracker. The first book of the Ruinous Love trilogy for Butcher and Blackbird, and also the first book for Dark Olympus for Neon Gods. And I also read the second book in the Brutal Birthright series as well. I have to update my reading log, so to start I read Stolen Hair by Sophie Lark. I read it in 15 days and gave it 5 stars. Then I read Butcher and Blackbird by Brian Weaver, I think that's her name, in 11 days, also 5 stars. And to finish I read Neon Gods by Katie Robert in 12 days and gave it 4.5 stars. In the spice rating, these three books are very high in the scale, and of course, as mostly as my other readings, they are dark romance, adult, and fiction. These are pretty much the only genres I like. I guess I also read suspense, thriller, and romance, not the dark one. I try to read other genres, but I just can't. I lose my focus during the read and I can't finish them. So, to waste money and time on books that I don't like, I prefer to spend that on the genres that I know I probably will enjoy more. I read this in physical book, but right now in June I started an ebook. It's actually a novella from Amazon that I got for free, and I read it in the Kindle app, also from Amazon on my phone, and I really like it. But I will talk more about that in the next reading journal wrap up, so stay tuned. I usually stick to paperback format because since I'm spending money on books, I want to be able to see them here in my bookshelf. And the only books I read in ebook format were The Doctor by Nikki Sloan and The Room at Risk by Talia Hibert. I got those two for free also on Amazon, but I didn't really like them. I gave them 3 stars, I think. The Doctor was 4 stars, I think so. But since I get a few of them for free, I guess I can actually read them when I can. Now we can finally start working on the makeover page. I didn't have an idea this time, so I went through my stationery to see if anything caught my attention, and it did. I looked at this glass window sticker and I immediately thought of making it the focus of the page. And then I used this PET tape that I used back in my February bullet journal setup and put them behind the window. I also put some red flower stickers together with the tape because the roses tied in with the roses on the window, so it made a cute touch. And to finish the collage, I put more flowers from the PET tape, but the smaller ones, to make it look like a window box. For the title, I went with an elegant and cursive font in this golden marker from Faber-Castell. I made the calendar the exact same layout as the other months to keep it cohesive even with different themes, and I made the lines and the numbers in this yellow marker to kind of bring the gold color into the calendar, and on top, for the days of the week, I made a bar with a red marker to bring the red from the roses. I used the white Jelly Roll pen to write the days because the yellow wouldn't show up in the red, and I didn't want to bring black into the setup, so white was the only option. I watched the reading journal setup from Erin Smith, and she writes the name of the book on top of the color bar in the calendar. So I guess I was influenced by that and ended up also putting the title in the bar, but it's okay, it was just one book, that's fine. I went with different shades of yellow for the different books because I want to make the spread look more gold and the red being just accent color. And also because in February I made a pretty much red setup here in the reading journal, so I didn't want to repeat that. I started Does It Hurt by H.T. Carlton in May, so I'm also putting it here as well. And to finish this cover page, I'm just decorating the corners of the calendar with a few more flowers. The next spread is for Stolen Hair by Sophie Lark. So this book is about the little sister of Callum Griffin, the male main character in the first book, Nessa Griffin, and Mikolai Wilk, a vicious gangster in Chicago. And it's not random. Mikolai is actually looking for revenge on the Griffins because of a murder that occurred in Brutal Prince, so the two books are connected. So basically, it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but make it dark. Mikolai abducts Nessa to get revenge on her family, even though she's not guilty of any crime. And of course, living together makes the tension rise between them, and the relationship is far more complicated than they want. I loved this book because there are so many layers to both of these characters. Mikolai because of his past and the things he went through, and Nessa because even though she looks innocent and good and all of that, she's much more, and they kind of see each other as they are in reality, not just the surface. The story is actually really interesting, and the betrayal comes when you least expect it and from the person you didn't even think of. Mikolai is hot and cold towards Nessa in the beginning, but when he understands why he's like that, it changes his attitude, and I appreciate it. The tags I picked for this book are Mafia Romance, Grumpy vs. Sunshine, Fairy Tale Retelling, Forbidden Romance, Forced Proximity, Kidnapping, and Enemies to Lovers, my favorite trope. Here you can actually see some of the art that I picked from the book. It's really cool when you have pictures to help you visualize the scenes. Then on the left page I'm writing some quotes from the book. I tag them with sticky notes on the book itself, but if I have space to write more of them, I go to Goodreads and select a few that I didn't tag. I track my books in Goodreads and in Storygraph. I only use Goodreads for the goal because I think Storygraph is more complete in the reviews. I guess it's a preference thing, but they are both really good apps. Let's move on to the next spread, and that's for Butcher and Blackbird. So basically, I'm obsessed with serial killers. I like to get into the psychology of them, so I knew this book was right up my alley. The two main characters in this book are both serial killers who kill other serial killers, and when they met by a chance encounter, it starts a rivalry between them. Sloan and Rowan then decide to make an annual game to see which one of them kills the target first. This is not enemies to lovers because they are friends and rivals, but even though I don't like the trope friends to lovers, this one was amazingly done. This is a slow burn, and I actually liked that because it wasn't rushed and their friendship develops into something so much deeper and they understand each other, especially Rowan. He knows how to make a connection with Sloan because she is a lone wolf, doesn't like people, and that makes her difficult to understand, but he does. This book has many trigger warnings, so read them before you start because, of course, to make descriptions about crime scenes, the author had to include gruesome details. And I have to say, the things that Sloane does to her victims are hardcore, but I actually really like the meaning behind that. For the tags, I wrote He Falls First, Golden Retriever versus Black Cat, Rowan is the Golden Retriever and Sloan the cat, First Proximity, Slow Burn, Friends to Lovers, and Two Serial Killers. The last spread is dedicated to Neon Gods, the last book I read in May, and I really liked this one. I didn't give it 5 stars because of some of the smut scenes. Exhibitionism is not my cup of tea, but the rest of the story and the characters are very interesting. So this is an Olympus retelling with Hades and Persephone, but in the modern world. Olympus is divided in 2 parts, the upper city where are pretty much all of the gods, and on the other side of the river that's lower city where Hades rules. The gods that rule Olympus are called the 13, and above them is Zeus, the bad guy in the story. Persephone wants to leave Olympus and start fresh, but things don't go to plan when her mother surprises her with an engagement to Zeus. And with no other option, she flees to the lower city, where she makes an agreement with Hades, the man that everyone except the 13 thinks is a myth. Hades sees in this offer the opportunity to take revenge on Zeus, and that's a whole backstory between these two gods. I like the story, the layers of the characters, and I actually like how they portrayed the two parts of Olympus and bring a little behind the scenes of the characters in the lower city. I actually have a favorite quote, and that's, quote, "A king is only king if everyone around him acknowledges it," end quote. I don't know why, but that one is stuck in my head, and it summarizes the difference between Hades and Zeus. For the tags, I wrote exhibitionism, E falls first, Hades and Persephone, forced proximity. I guess forced proximity was a regular trope in May, forbidden romance, and fake relationship. I actually forgot to mention, but this book doesn't have any fantasy elements, even though it's a retelling about gods. Here is the final flip through. This May was a good reading month for me, and I hope you can take inspiration for your own journal or recommendations for your next read. Give a like and subscribe so you don't lose my next reading journal update, and I see you on the next one. Bye!